Okay. Welcome to Netflix's original Drive to Survive companion podcast, the Formula One docu-series. This is the companion podcast to watch along with the series. We let you know everything that's going on, not in Formula One, but in the series. So, do we really keep you up to date on who's winning the races? When it relates to beef between the drivers. If it was a normal win and it, didn't really break up a friendship, then it's not really going to be talked about on this podcast. Last episode I watched talking about Mick Schumacher, the son of Michael Schumacher. His name is just kind of a shorter version of his father's name from Michael to Mick. And he might not have what it takes in Formula One. He might not have what it takes to stay in Formula One. I would know the answer of whether or not he is still in Formula One if I actually kept up with Formula One, but I don't. I keep up with Drive to Survive, so I'm about a year late. But I'll tell you what, things are not looking good for Mick, and I'm the one to tell him. I'm the guy that's probably older than him, who's done nothing with his life of any substantial measure. And I am the one to tell him that he might just not have the killer instinct. Because that's what I do. I sit and I watch this docuseries on Formula One. And I lay in my bed. I'm not even watching a TV. I'm watching a laptop. I don't even have a television. I'm watching a laptop and I'm saying Mick Schumacher is not his father. As I eat in bed, I say he doesn't have what it takes. He's not going to be a winner. Max Verstappen is the Mick Schumacher of his generation, the Michael of his generation, the father of his generation. His father of his generation is not him. Which seems tough. This is a real brutal sport, but yeah, this one guy, Mick Schumacher, he's the son of Michael Schumacher, who is like the greatest Formula One driver to have ever raced. He's a great driver, and his son is just not. He keeps either going too slow or crashing the car, which seems like what I would do in Formula One. I think I would either be going too slow or I would crash the car, or while I'm going too slow, I would crash the car. But that's his issue, and he's in Formula One, which I feel like those are issues that you should, I don't know, it's like your problem should be different if you're that good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like Max Verstappen's, like he's had issues with just sort of being too wild on the track, like being too competitive, getting into dirty races and shit like that. You know, not dirty of really cheating necessarily, but not, you know what I mean? Like kind of pushing people out. Like that's his problem. That's like a winner's problem. Mick is just in the car and they're like, "Can you go faster?" And he's like, "I'm going as fast as I can." Which is like, I feel like the one people you can't say that to is the pit crew. Because those cars are just fucking driving computers. Like they have all of the tire pressures and they know that there's an engine problem before the driver does because of all the sensors and shit in that car. So it is weird when they're like, "Can you go faster?" And he's like, "I can't go any faster." I feel like they're like, "We know you can." Kevin Magnussen, your teammate, is currently going faster in the same car. So it would seem to us that you could go faster and should go faster. And he's like, no, I can't. I mean, that's just tough, because it's like, I don't know. Trying to be as good as your dad in Formula One is tough because people kill themselves just trying to be the best. But if you're like trying to be your father, that just sounds like a recipe for a guy to crash his fucking car. You know what I mean? Because his dad was like a real dog. You know what I mean? He was a little dirty too sometimes. But it was just what happens when you're competing that hard is sometimes he would do shit and people would be like, "What the fuck was that?" And he'd be like, "I wanted to win," So it's like his dad had those problems, but he does not have those problems. Mick placed 8th, and that was like the climax of the episode that was centered on him, was him scoring points. That was it. But every other race before that was like, fuck, he crashed the car, or fuck, he just won't go faster. It's such a weird sport because it's like They do have to be small, usually. They got to be skinny guys. And they got to have quick reflexes. And they got to have muscles that are fine with being shooken and having to control an F1 car for like 2 hours straight while going fast. It's like they're going on the most intense, repetitive road trip for hours. So you need to, because sometimes when you're driving, you have like you got to just move your back. And it's like they can't even really do that. Like every second, they're just going so fucking fast. So they have to think about every next second. And they can't just like kind of take a second, kind of adjust their ass, I feel like. I would assume, So, yeah, I don't know. You're trying, but really it's mostly like a mental thing. Like after all that's done, what it takes is somebody who has the kind of brain that is brave enough but smart enough to do wild shit, get away with it, and win that way. So it is weird when the pit crew's like go faster and the guy's like I can't. It's like, well, then maybe that's where you lack, which kind of sucks because it's like there's only 20 Formula One drivers in the world, and a lot of bad drivers get in. A couple. There used to be Nikita Mazepin. He was the son of a Russian oligarch. He raced for the same team that Mick Schumacher races for, and he crashed probably more cars than Mick's crashing. That guy was crashing every single race. He was only on the team because his dad owned the team. Really, that was the reason. And then he no longer raced after Russia invaded Ukraine, which was interesting. But a good way to get him out because he was a bad guy. There was allegations of sexual assault. So he was like terrible on and off the track. He was just a guy that really didn't deserve anything, but had so much because his dad is a Russian oligarch. So the guy has so much fucking money. It's like, stop coming into a sport that people care about and crashing the fucking car, you asshole. You know what I mean? He was a prick. I don't think anybody liked him. But the point being, there are people that slip through the cracks, with money usually is how they get in. But you still have to race enough to get in, so it's kind of, you have to earn it somehow. But if his dad wasn't the owner, he wouldn't be racing in F1. And that's the reason no other team picked him up, because that's why he's not still racing in F1. And the thing with Mick is, like, he's been racing his whole life, he still had to climb through the ranks. But at the end of the day, I feel like F1 is like, yeah, we would give up one of those 20 spaces so the son of the greatest driver ever can race. That kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? But that being said, it's like a lot of these guys driving are the sons of F1 drivers because it's such an expensive sport to get into. And like Max Verstappen, the lead. I don't know if he won this year, to be honest, the year that I'm watching, 2022. I don't know if he won, but he's like kind of a champ. He was a champ the year before. His dad would race against Michael Schumacher. So like he was like a dude in F1. He wasn't that great, I don't think. But now his son is like beating the fuck out of Schumacher's son. So it's kind of the way things have turned around. I don't know. Is any of this interesting? Does anybody give a shit? It is just weird because there's only 20 of them, so they're got to be mean. You know what I mean? They got to be dicks. They got to be fine being treated like dicks. Like, it's a very intense sport. And this boy, Mick, he is a sweet boy. Like, he got 8th, and that was a big deal for him. And then he was like, fuck yeah. And then he apologized for cussing. And it's just like, ugh, dude. Can you just fucking sound like a winner for 3 seconds? You know what I mean? Like, just for fucking 5 seconds, can you sound like a winner? I know you didn't win this race, but could you act like it? Could you fucking act like it? It was funny, though, because this guy, the kind of the new champ, Max Verstappen, grew up with this guy, Mick Schumacher, because once again, both their dads were in F1. So they grew up together. One, the son of the champ. One, the son of a guy that was just kind of whatever. And they grew up together, and then now Verstappen is kicking people's asses. The son of the so-so F1 driver is now the champ. And in the race where Mick came in 8th, he came up on Max Verstappen because Max Verstappen was having a bad race. I think his car had an issue or some shit. and then he went to pass him and could not pass him. And it was a wild thing of like him being like, I'm going to pass you now. And then his friend just being like, nah, I'm still so much better at this than you. And I'm just going to like edge you out on every corner. And it was, I mean, you can see it. It's like a dog fight. And like, it seems like the guys that win an F1 are they're just the guys that are willing to be like, I'll just fucking turn a little bit in. And then your car's going to go wherever the fuck your car's going to go. But there's not going to be room for it on the track. You know what I mean? It's like, that's crazy. Mick is such a sweet guy. You know, that guy Max seems like kind of a cunt. But in the way that a winner would be a cunt. His whole thing is, I'm a winner. So it's just, I don't know, it is interesting where, you know, people's success can kind of justify their personalities. Because if that guy wasn't an F1, you'd be like, this guy sucks. Like, this guy fucking blows. He's so goddamn cocky, you know what I mean? But since it's this guy's job to get in a supercharged car and go as fast as he can and almost kill himself every week just to win a trophy, it kind of requires a bit of dickishness. And there's something about the F1 that's just very, you know, cocky. You know, there's just something about the F1 because there's only 20 and they're in the cool, weird cars and it's European. You know, it's a very European thing. And so, like, the level to which they are hot and cool guys is, like, so cliche, it's aggressive. You know what I mean? It's like to be an F1 driver is just so just walking into some kind of James Bond bar and being like, what do you do? It's like, I race for Ferrari. You know, like, you're fucking, you know what I mean? Like, all these guys, they're just, because of what their job is, they're, like, the coolest guys ever, you know? So they have that attitude of a guy that drives around in a fucking spaceship. You know what I mean? Like, that does shit. I don't know. Like, if you do a job, if your job is like what a 5-year-old wants, your appeal, not only sexually, but just as a guy, is so high that there's no way that you're really that cool to be around because you don't have to do anything because what you do so well and it's so hard and it's so exclusive, you know? So if you're an F1 driver or a fucking astronaut, you know, like, nobody can say shit to you. And however you act, people just go, I guess that's how fucking F1 drivers act, you know? And they're like, they can't, even if you're a dick, they're like, well, he's a little cocky. You know what I mean? Everything is just justified by that success, you know? And that happens with all kinds of success. Like, if I was a famous comic, I could just act weird. But then I'm sure a lot of people would be like, well, that's how he acts. He's successful. So that's how he acts. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. That's just what it's like. But I don't know. These guys, they're just, I couldn't imagine that life because they're like my age and younger. And they just go around Europe and the Middle East and a couple parts of America and just race fast cars. And they're like all, like, the portion of them who are good looking is substantial. Like, it's weird. I don't know why. They're not like the hottest guys ever, but there's some good looking fellas in there. And I don't know why, but the bone structure in F1 is just unbeatable. I mean, Jesus Christ, these guys, the cheeks on Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz got real intense cheeks, you know? Charles Leclerc, that soft yet still defined French face. Daniel Ricciardo, boyish good. He's a little older now, but still the boyish, happy guy, good looks. And then Mick Schumacher, just a fucking Ken doll, just Fred, just Aryan as hell, to be honest. Like, Aryan as hell. Like, the Nazis would love this guy. Which is not saying that's what makes him good looking, but I'd be lying if that's not the type of look that he has, you know? That's like, he has a kind of face where you're like, you're either innocent and wonderful or so evil. And as far as I can tell, he's innocent and wonderful. He's just a rich kid who got to do racing, and he's doing his best. But I don't know if it's enough. But I mean, just the pussy these guys must be getting must be insane, you know. You walk out of a race car, that's the best car. It's the whole trope of like, oh, a guy walks out in a Bentley and, people see him and they're like, I want to fuck that guy. This guy gets out of a race car and they film it and they put it on TV so everybody can see him get out of the race car. And they go, what'd you do in that race car? And he goes, I just won the race. And they go, damn, not only were you in a race car, but you were the best. Some of these guys, if you race for Ferrari or you race for McLaren or you race for like a car company, you get a free fucking car. That's sick. So now you're 20 years old, you're getting paid millions of dollars. You have like a $500,000 sports car you didn't even buy. They just gave it to you. And what are you even spending your money on? You know what I mean? You don't have anything yet. You just got all this expendable income. Just driving around the world, hopping out of cars, getting puss. And there are women out there. They're fans of F1. And I don't know. I have a lot of respect to all the women that sit in the stands and they go, one day I'll marry one of those men. And I will be such a sick kind of athlete wife to be. If you're going to be a dude athlete's wife, F1 is such a good option. You get to go to Monaco. Maybe if you get to come, you get to go fucking Monaco and Baku, whatever. You get to go so many cool fucking places. Like if you're, that's like a real trophy wife situation. Like we're dining in London, then flying to Paris for dessert, or whatever. Like that's like real high class. Marrying really into wealth, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about the people that I'm not even calling them bad. I'm just talking about the people that specifically want to marry one of those guys. I have so much respect for them because it's such a good decision to make. Above all, I mean, soccer player, Ronaldo's wife, that's a great gig. You know what I mean? A lot of soccer players. Somehow, for some reason, the European trophy wife just seems like a better life. Because if you're, even if you're like Giselle, you're your own person. Tom Brady's, ex-wife now. Whatever. But let's just say if you're like any NFL player's wife, even the most famous, it's like you could still have to live in Buffalo. You know what I mean? Like that sucks. With the F1, it's like they just race at a new place every week. So wherever you live on Earth doesn't really matter because you can just fly anywhere. So it's like, oh yeah, we live in, Milan and then we go racing around the world and then we come back and we live in Milan. But with like the NFL family, it's like, yeah, we're in New England just all year, pretty much. Just all year, because even when the season's not happening, we're still training, and we're training in New England or Arizona. I don't know whatever. But you're just like, you're not seeing the world. That's a national league, I mean, they do that one game in London. You get to go to London, I guess. Or they do a game in Mexico. I think, a couple. But, like, you want the F1 husband. That's what you want. Because those guys, they're just these little European twinks, and they're like, I like to go fast, and they're like dumb sports guys, but they're European, so they're like, they act like they're right. You know what I mean? Because like dumb sports guys in America, they're like, I just want to hit somebody, and they're not really trying to qualify their way of thinking, But then F1 guys are like, I'm a jock who likes to get fucked up and fuck people. But I'm also smart because the car is very high tech, So it's like they're all kind of snooty, you know what I mean? They're like elitist athletes, All the pros are elite but these are elitist athletes, you know what I mean? Even like I'm sure like they look at other sports like, oh, soccer is so dumb. You just kick the ball. In F1, you have to have quick reflexes like a cat, like. They seem a little up their own ass. And the guys that are not really up their own ass, everybody who in that is like normal is just bad at racing. They're just not that good at it. It's only the guys that are fucking maniacs. But all the guys that like start to have families and love them and stuff, like they just suck. They're always the second man on the team. They're like, I just want to have a good time and just race the best that I can. And it's like, that guy's coming in 15th. Like, that guy's not doing shit. It's always the fucking one weird Max Verstappen kind of rat-faced fuck kind of guy. It's like, I want to win more than anybody. more than I want anything in the world. You know, you can tell he just has, and he has a girlfriend that is way out of his league, and you can just tell that he's, just every time he's talking to his girlfriend, he's like, winning is all I care about, and she's just like, yeah, no. Listening to him just being like, I feel like I really am in the back seat of this guy's life. You know what I mean? Like this, it must be terrible to be married to an athlete. And it's kind of the same in like comedy or music where maybe somebody has a main passion that's a little off the beaten path that it's like, yeah, that kind of consumes his life. It's tough to be a good partner. But when you're like an athlete, like when your thing is like winning, when that's very clearly all you want is to win, that's tough for your partner to just have to listen to all day, Because his girlfriend's probably just a normal person, you know what I mean? That's like, yeah, I hung out with Cecily today. That was nice, I do smoke a cigarette. And he's like, what did you do? And he's like, I watched footage of my enemy to find out his moves so I could win. And then you just got to be like, totes. Totally. You know what I mean? I respect those people that are able to kind of accept that. And I don't think it's necessarily good, but it just seems to always happen. Just to kind of accept that the life of their partner is more important than their life almost. Like in their relationship, out of the two, who's a more important person? Even they would be like him, because he's in F1. So he's doing like kind of big stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's only 20 guys. He's winning championships. This is like millions of dollars involved with this. This is a big deal. I like lattes. You know what I mean? Like they just got to accept that. But I feel like they have a kind of knowledge that the F1 guys don't have, which is like, well, I'm enjoying life. I don't have to win. You're crazy because you go out every day and you're like, I'm going to be a winner. And then if you don't, you want to die. Like, that sucks. That's not like a life that I want to live. You know what I mean? Which I think is a weird thing with comedy where you want to not have that kind of edge to you, but you also need to have something that makes you want to keep doing it. But luckily, with stand-up, you can just kind of love it a lot, and if you do it long enough, maybe you get lucky putting yourself in the right places and you get to show your skill and somebody appreciates it. That's like nice. Yeah, but in F1 you like gotta win. And that just seems exhausting. Do you know how much it sucks to worry about winning? I do not like entering that kind of shit into my life because I don't really have a life that needs it. I don't really need to necessarily have a competitive edge. Like, I look at other comics, I can see what they're doing and try and do the same stuff if they find success. Try and find my own success. You know what I mean? But there's no winning. You just maybe are able to carve out a life for yourself in this, and that's great. But I don't have to beat anybody else to get here. Not really. There's no beating. Maybe it's me and a guy that's similar to me, and we're up for the same thing. And, then it's kind of like winning. But at that point, it's like, that's a judge decide, that's somebody, it's a casting director, that's some booker, that's somebody who can't have two of a similar thing, and that's why you got to be different, whatever. But just week in and week out to have definitive win or lose, how do you justify that? I'm Mick Schumacher. I'm the 20th best driver in a league of 20. Like, that sucks. That's like your job description. Oh, you're an F1? Cool. And then if you talk about F1 for more than 10 minutes, the other person's going to be like, oh, so you like lose a lot? Damn. And the cockiness of regular people to be like, oh, so you're a fucking loser? And it sucks because you put yourself in a position to lose. So now you kind of have to reap what you sow. You know what I mean? That like guys like me can judge you. That seems so unfair. Like, I'm watching it and I'm thinking like, Mick just doesn't have that killer instinct. And I'm like, Cooper, you don't have any instincts. You don't have even just normal social, how to be nice to people instincts. You don't have any kind of instinct whatsoever. You are instinctless. You are so fucking dumb. The gall of you to tell Mick Schumacher that he doesn't have what it takes. Of course he has what it takes. It's in his blood. It's in his goddamn bones. That's me as the F1 announcer. Mick has what it takes. It's in his goddamn bones. They say, can you please talk about the other drivers? And I go, let's talk more about Mick Schumacher. Because he's got what it takes, motherfucker. I don't know. I went to NASCAR yesterday. Very funny. I spent so much time on F1, I didn't even see it. I went to actual NASCAR yesterday. And I talked about this in another episode. I went to another NASCAR event at the Coliseum, which was kind of more fun. It was a smaller track at the Coliseum. It was like the size of a normal, like a football field. So it was way smaller than usual, and that was interesting. But then we went to the fucking Pomona Speedway. That shit was wild because they get up to like 190 there. So that's like real NASCAR where they're really fucking slamming on the pedal, baby. And I didn't like it. I don't know why. I'm kind of reflecting on that day, and I just didn't fully understand. But for a portion of it, I was furious, and I don't know why. I think it's because I drank and I had to pee so much, and every time I went to the bathroom, there's a fucking line to piss, and I couldn't really tell who was in first because it's like, especially as the race goes on, it's not like they're all just in one line. Like they spread out across the track. So really, there's kind of cars passing with gaps in between all the time. And so you get to a point where you're like, I don't really know who's leading this because the leader is definitely behind the last guy, not far from him. You know what I mean? And then eventually lapping him, and then that gets even more confusing. So I was like not into it, and I don't know why. I just went to the bathroom, and last time I was at NASCAR, I got so drunk that not out of anger, but just out of I'm too drunk, I just left randomly. And then this time I was at the bathrooms, and I was like, I might leave again. I fucking hate this. I might just leave again. And like, I know you're listening to this being like, when is he going to explain why he's mad? I don't know. I was just angry. And I think it's just because it was a lot more boring than I expected. It's like a lot. Like it was cold outside. It luckily didn't rain, but it was cold outside. And you know, they're going around the track, and it's crazy to see cars go that fast. But once you see them go around a couple times, you're like, how many laps do they do? And they're like 200. And you're like, I really got my fill at 5, to be honest. And I don't really care who wins. So the rest of this race is kind of moot to me, you know? So I was at the bathroom, and I was waiting. And I saw my friend Killian, and I was like, man, I'm so fucking mad. And he was like, why? It's one of those things where I knew I was wrong already, but then when you hear your friend's reaction where he was just like, what's going on? He's like, just, you got to let go. And I was like, I don't know, dude. I just can't let go. And I think I've been trying to, I don't know, maybe there's this weird, like, I'm like a California middle class kid. Like, I'm not acquainted with NASCAR culture. And I think kids like me kind of get into it ironically. Or to be like, this is what other people in the country like. What's that like? You know what I mean? Like, am I cool? Am I actually a California elitist? And I just found out I am a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Just being at that race, I was like, these are not my folk. These are not my people. These are different whites. I like lunch in Malibu. That's what I like. I like a fish taco or clam chowder. Some nice buttered bread to dip. I like that. I like that. I don't really like NASCAR. It's really not where my comfortability lies. And I think it's interesting because it's such an easy formula for having fun. You know, it's like, you go there, get some beer, and you just watch these guys just drive so fast. And I was just like, no, I can't connect. You know what I mean? I just can't connect. And I'm trying not to say I'm not dumb enough to like it, but that's exactly how I feel. Is I was just walking around, I was like, I'm not fucking stupid enough to really be that into cars going fast. There's a certain extent to where you gotta just be kind of like, like you're dumb. If that's like truly so interesting to you. Which is weird because I feel so differently about F1. And I think that's the way F1 drivers feel. And I think it's the circular thing that's a little, it starts to feel dumb because you're like, well, you're just going in a circle. Now, that being said, NASCAR is hard as fuck. It's not just a circle. There's different corners. It's not always a clean oval. And also, you're dealing with wind. The reason they're in a line is just to keep that drafting going. So trying to exit that draft and maybe get around the guy. And there's a lot of strategy going on. It just happens to all kind of be happening in a circle, in a line. So it can, I don't know. I don't know if I'm too dumb to like it or I'm too smart to like it. And I think the answer is intelligence has nothing to do with it. You just like it or you don't. And I don't think I do. It was nice to try. And I think I got mad because the first time I went, I wasn't that interested in the NASCAR, if I'm being honest. I was remembering I was not that interested in it. It's very cool to see in person. But then once you see it, what actually keeps your interest, like the game itself, the race itself, is not it. Like football is sick. It's just two teams, different colors. You always know who's doing shit, and they're doing something different every play. With this, it's like people are doing something different, but it's all continuous. They're like, all right, I'm going to try and get around him. I didn't get around him. I'm going to try again next time. And it's like, come on. Just do like 10 laps. Fuck it. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I was being very elitist. I was walking around. I was like, these dumb motherfuckers are pissing me off. And I waited in line for like 10 minutes to get a hot dog. And she was like, our card reader's fucked up. So you have to put in all of your numbers, all your information in. So I type everything in. Then it asked for my zip code. And like, I don't know. I put in the zip code at my house. Didn't work. I put in the zip code at my mom's house. That didn't work. And I was just like, well, I don't know then. This is just for a fucking debit card. Like, this is not a big operation. So it just declines. And I just, instead of going like, oh, it declined, I just go, fuck. And then I just walk away from them. Go out. Wait in line to go get a burger and fries, ask for fries. He goes, we don't have regular fries anymore, but we do have the brick, which is where they take a bunch of fucking curly fries, put it in the frying basket, and then just fry the whole thing, and then it conforms to the shape of the basket. So you just get like a kilo. You get a brick of curly fries, which is not really what I was going for. You get a burger. Got a burger, was putting condiments on it, top bun, fell off, angrily ate half of an open-faced burger till I folded it over almost like pizza and just had a bad double cheeseburger. Ate a couple bites of that, just pissed. Just when your bun falls and you're already pissed, like you're not even alive at that point. And eventually I chilled out. I just went back to my seat and just tried to drink more and put more nicotine in my body. And I left not angry. So that was good. But I was so tired. I don't know. There's something that kind of just makes you feel, especially my friend carpooled and we were in Pomona, which is like an hour away from LA. So like I just felt trapped in just a stadium of loudness. That's when I start to feel like an autistic 3-year-old where I'm just like, I'm overstimulated. This is too much noise, too many people. And maybe that's why I was mad, honestly. I think it was just a lot of noise, and what was making the noise, the race, was no longer really interesting to me. So I was just like, man, it's just fucking loud. I gotta pee so goddamn much. There's a line every single time. And it was just such a weird feeling because I'm like, damn, now I'm missing the race. But then I'd also be like, I don't give a fuck about the race. Who gives a fuck about the race, you know? So I think I was just pissed too because, yeah, it's like the first time I went, I was trying a new thing. And the second time I went, it was a very different race. It was a bigger track. But at the end of the day, it was still just NASCAR again. And I was just once again like, who cares? You know what I mean? I was like, fuck. And maybe that was me kind of fully realizing that I just don't like NASCAR. And I was doing it at NASCAR. And my friend was like, I think you're expecting too much. It's just guys going 190 miles per hour. And I was like, you're right, you know. I wasn't trying to ruin it for other people. But I get a little loud when I get pissed. So I was like, this fucking sucks, you know. Which isn't cool because a lot of people there really, they like it, you know. And I don't think anybody I didn't know heard me. But, yeah, so I was unhappy. I came out all right. We went to get Chinese food in like Gardena or someplace at a restaurant that my friend was so excited about. And it was just, I don't know, just like boring as fuck. It was not interesting. I mean, it was also, I don't know, it was weird. I don't know if it was just my palate was not good enough for this food, you know, but it was a lot of like, we got like a cooked rabbit dish, but it was served cold. I don't know why. So it was just eating cold rabbit with spine bones in it. And my friend is a big like foodie, so this was like a particular place he took us to with particular orders that he got. I want to be like, hey man, can we get like a white dish? Can we get like just something that's just chicken in a sauce? Because this is like not working for me. We got a fish soup, which was fine. That's the thing, is like some of this stuff that's like not the basic stuff is still just a boring flavor. Like it was fish soup that was just tasted like water with fish, and it was also spicy and it had roots in it. And I was like, this tastes healthy. I don't know. Eating garlic lettuce. I ate just a lot of lettuce. I was like, this is something I can scarf, and I need that. But it was not, you know. Then you got just some kind of dryish noodles that were okay. But the whole meal, I was just like, can we just get something fun? Can we get what is essentially chicken nuggets? I know this is kind of a more authentic Chinese restaurant, but I know they have something for me. And I'm not like a caged up eater. I do try new stuff. But I was in the mood where I was like, this is an entire meal of things I haven't eaten. I've had things similar, of course. I've obviously had the type of noodles they brought was, I've had stuff like it. It wasn't all new. But there was a part of me that was just like, can we just get something kind of boring? You know what I mean? I spent all day getting fucking drunk at NASCAR. Can I please just have something stupid? Been eating stupid all day. Now I'm eating like authentic Chinese cuisine. And the food is better than me. You know what I mean? I was in the moment where I was like, this food is above me. Somebody took a lot of time and care into making this soup and this rabbit dish that was full of bones. And I'm not appreciating it enough right now because I really just want to eat, And as a white dude, it's not just regular food that you're used to, Which I guess would be the same as a, Chinese guy finishing watching a game and then going home being like, I just want some fucking regular food that I understand. And then they're like, would you like Buffalo Wild Wings? That's not, even a beef Wellington would kind of be like, come on, come on. Might not be into that. And that's how I felt. I was so sleepy. I don't know. I was so fucking sleepy. But I'm glad to not be doing that anymore. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I will return to NASCAR. But Kyle Busch won. Everybody hates him, I guess. He's evil. I didn't know that. He's evil. So he won, and then a bunch of people just kind of fucking booed him. And nobody gave a shit. I don't know. Something about NASCAR is like, I think NASCAR is like the Grateful Dead. Like, you get it or you don't get it. And those who get it fucking love it. And I don't think there's anything they could say that could really convince me to love it, because I've watched like NASCAR documentaries about specific NASCAR drivers and just the league itself, and I've learned all the interesting things and I've been interested by them, but it doesn't stick with me. I'm like, okay, so that's how you race, and that's cool, yeah, I like that. But then it never translates to watching it and being like, that's what he's like. I don't care. Like I'll see a guy driving really close behind another guy, and I'm like, maybe he'll do the shake and bake shit. I don't know, but I don't care. And I know I don't care because it's like I even had a scanner, which if you don't know is it's like what the pit crew has. It's like earmuffs with their radio headphones, and you get a little scanner, and you can listen to the different pit crews talk to their driver. So you can pick a car, and you'd be like, I want to listen to Joey Logano. And then you hear him be like, shh, I'm going to fucking kill myself. I'm driving. I'm going to fucking kill myself. I want to die. And then the other guy's like, please don't kill yourself. Please don't kill yourself, Joey. You are so amazing. You are so beautiful. You are such a light in so many people's lives. Please do not kill yourself. And he's like, fuck that. I'm turning the car over. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to kill Kyle Busch. Like, please don't kill Kyle Busch, Joey. Joey, just don't kill Kyle Busch. And even that did not make it interesting. I was not interested even being able to hear the people in the car. I was listening to a guy in a car going 190, and I was still like, you know, who cares? I don't give a fuck. Because I also didn't understand what they were saying, because obviously they weren't saying that. They were just saying, like, come fast on the third. I'm like, what does that mean? You know? It's like, I guess a guy behind him his speed is increasing on the third turn. I don't know, you know? I have no idea what they were saying. And it was so funny because I paid like $40. Me and my friend split it. We got these double headsets so we could listen to the guys. And then you listen to it and then you're like, well, wait, this was dumb. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't speak NASCAR language. I have no fucking idea what they are saying. Why did I pay for this? And it's the same as like football, honestly. Like the idea itself is a little bit silly. But, you know, it's like if you were just listening to fucking Bill Belichick, it'd be like, all right, gonna run Tennessee 4, audible 4 snap. You know what I mean? You'd be like, this isn't it. I don't care. I just want to see it happen, you know? And then I couldn't get him to work. It was a whole thing. It was a bit of a whole thing. And I don't know. I think what I was mad about was I was probably expecting too much, like my friend said. And it was just a day, you know, because I only really drink on the weekends. So I was like, I want to go hard today, you know? And I didn't even really drink that much. But I was like, I'm going to drink today. This will be a fun day. I'll be getting drunk, and I'll be in an event where you can get drunk. So I should only have a good time. And then I would feel myself not having a good time. And I think that's what it was. It's like the second time I went to the bathroom, I was like, man, I got to piss a lot. That just ruined shit. And I'm drunk, and that's fine, but I'm not really having fun. And then you just get so mad because you're like, well, I did all the things. I got tickets to an event that's crazy, and I got fucking drunk. Shouldn't this be fun? Like, why is this not fun? That doesn't make sense. This is supposed to be fun. And it wasn't, so I was just pissed. And then, you know, paid fucking $40 for a burger that I ate half of and fries that, you know, I didn't love. Yeah, and then kind of just acted like a baby. I don't know. Probably should go back on meds or some shit. I don't know. Because I have just been getting angry and then going, why am I so angry? Which honestly feels like a dumb phrase after I have, you know, like I said, gone off meds for a little while now. But I don't know. I think I'm at a point with mental health where the meds help. They don't fix, but, you know, I got light issues in comparison to a lot of people. But also, I guess in comparison to a lot of people, I am fucking crazy because it is crazy for some people to, you know, walk around and just be so fucking angry randomly and for no reason. To most people, that is not the norm. To most people, that is surprising, and they don't love it. Rightly so. So I gotta stop being so mad. It sucks to be a mad guy because of how much you suck. You know what I mean? You just suck so much when you're the guy who's pissed. Like, just for a little bit at that NASCAR race, nobody let me bring him down, but I did. I sucked. I sucked the most out of the group, and I might have sucked the most out of the group the entire day, even when I was happy. Who knows? Even on a good day, I might still suck. But, yeah, I was pissed. I was just so mad. For no reason, you know? Just for no reason. That's what I don't like is, like, being angry is you just have a guy in you that just tells you to get mad at shit. And you do have a say in it. But the anger issue is that you kind of feel like you don't. So you're just like, what? Yeah, fuck that, you know? And then you're just pissed. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean? What are we getting out of this life if we're just walking around a NASCAR event pissed? Thinking about what? How we're fucking smart? You know? There's no fucking point to that. I don't know. Listen, I felt like I run out of stuff to talk about. I talked about F1. I talked about NASCAR. I talked about anger. And I could talk about anger for hours. But I'm trying to quell it. I'm going to try and quell it tonight because last week I did a spot at the Comedy Store and I just got so angry and lashed out. I do a lot of lashing out. I wish I could be quietly angry. I wish I was a guy that was just so pissed, but it was just like, like that's doable. That's fine with me. The problem is I get mad and then I express myself. And sometimes if I get mad on stage, I'm like, well, what if I try and express this anger on stage and make it funny? Isn't that how you find true art? And maybe it is, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of misses involved in that technique. There's a lot of doing that, you miss a lot. You miss most of the time until it works out. But for a lot of people, it doesn't. That's why there aren't a lot of comics who really have, some sort of hard-nosed, I'm pissed off persona. Because for the most part, people don't want to see it. People don't like when somebody's just fucking pissed. And that is what I can offer. But the problem is it's 23-year-old anger, so it's not even, interesting. It's just unjustified, cocky, and dumb. And people mostly do not like being around it. But I don't know. I'm trying to quell it. Because I've just been getting angry in a dumb way where I just start feeling like people don't like me. I just start doing very childish things like, well, they don't fucking care. Nobody gives a fuck. They fucking hate this set. They hate me. They all think I'm pathetic. It's like saying that to a whole room of people and then they're just like, dude, we really are not even going to think about you after you're off stage. By the way, you're running the light. This was supposed to be a 3-minute set. Just get off stage. Just get off of the stage and stop being mad. Nobody cares. And that just happens more and more as you get older, I think. More and more as you get older, more and more people go, I don't care. I do not care. I'm not going to take time out of my day to continue listening to you get fucking angry. I don't give a shit. So I don't know. I'm trying not to be angry. And it was funny because I was at a show after going up at the Comedy Store. That was for just the open mic at the Comedy Store. It wasn't a big deal. But I was at another show after that, and I was like, I'm going to try and be nice on stage, have a good time. And the comic before me was another guy from L.A. We were in Huntington Beach, and he spent his whole 20 minutes just being like, this show sucks. Why am I even here? Where even am I? What kind of place is Huntington Beach? He was acting like he was in Uganda. He was like, where am I? This is weird. What's the deal here? And then they were like, I don't know, it's a beach town. It's a lot of older people. Yeah, the politics are kind of what you expect. I don't know. Is it that crazy? So I went up after, and he left right after because he was a cunt. And I went up after and spent 10 minutes just being like, what the fuck was that guy's problem? What a fucking prick. Fuck him. And the crowd loved it. And that was a weird thing where it was almost like I've been trying to quell my anger, but then it's almost like there was a coach of a team being like, do your thing. You can do it right now. You can go. You can do it against him because he was very mean to the room, and you need to go tell those people that they are not stupid white trash, and you need to have a good time and bring this room back together because he's trying to convince everybody that it's terrible. So he left, and I had a good 5 minutes, 5 or 10, just shitting on his ass. And they loved it. I didn't even have to be funny, just being like, what the fuck was that about? He's doing crowd work with you guys, and he didn't believe you, And that felt okay because I wasn't mad. I had nothing to really be mad about. I was kind of disappointed that he acted so angrily. But I don't know. I can't get mad at him. I'm sure that could be me. You know what I mean? I have tons of anger issues. I'm very unappealing. So that was good. That kind of came out and my anger got to shine a little bit. But now I'm trying to remember that when I go on stage, I am not that good at comedy, and I can't just do wild shit and kind of think it will be all right because I just believe I'm funny enough to do it. That's not really how it works. It's not a good thing, So, I don't know. This podcast is a good place, because I just come here and I talk and nobody listens, and that's what's good. Right now it's almost like I'm purely alone. This is just pure practice, you know what I mean? Of just sitting at a desk. I was looking at how long people view my podcast, and it's like less than 10 minutes, which is funny because sometimes I'm like, it really got good by the middle, and I'm like, Coop, people tuned out like 20 minutes ago. You know what I mean? Like, this is right now, the last 10 minutes of the podcast. I always try and do like a full hour, but I mean, this is like purely just unlistened to material. You know what I mean? This is just, if anybody's listening to this wasn't even that good of an episode, and this podcast is not that good to begin with. So this is like a fucking D- for a good podcast, And it's very hard to compete on the internet because it's just a couple clicks away to somebody who actually does this professionally, and rightly so, is paid to do it, At least with, like, if you go out to see comedy, it's like, yeah, you might see some amateur comics just because you're not going to see the greatest comic every time you go out to see comedy. But with podcasts, you can listen to the best at podcasting all the time. So coming out with the podcast now is just so funny because it's being like, listen, I know there are people that are so much fucking better at it. But what if you listened to me? And they're like, what do you do differently? And I'm like, not much. To be honest, not much. And they're like, well, what's the theme? And I'm like, me. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's me for an hour. You're like, how old are you? I'm like, 23. They're like, okay. Are you informed? No, I am not informed. But do you still sometimes talk about politics? Yes, I do. Sometimes I will touch on things. So they're like, so you talk about things you're uninformed by? And I'm like, yes, correct. And they're like, see, there's nothing about that I like. There is no. You can be uninformed if you're, fucking like a famous podcaster already. And then everybody who watches you is like, I'll just agree with that. And that's fine. But if you're 23 and nobody knows who you are and you're uninformed, everybody's like, what am I watching this for? This is like all the hubris of somebody who's good at this with none of the career to back it up. So this is just full, uninteresting disinformation is kind of the whole podcast. Just disinformation, not true things, said in a very uncharismatic way and recorded on, average to below average equipment, So it is funny when I'm like, man, I really wish people would watch more. And then I kind of look at what I do and I go, 12 is enough. 12 is probably enough viewers for this. Maybe we don't need more. Maybe 1,000 people viewing this would be bad. And 1,000 would still be very small. But if 1,000,000 people were viewing this, it would be a sign that culture's not doing great. Because they're like, we just kind of listen to anybody now. Hopefully this podcast will get better and you could understand watching it. But at the moment, I look at it as a bad product. And when people don't want to consume it, I say, bravo on knowing what's good. Because liking my stuff might be a bad... And if, God damn it, if you're here, don't leave. God damn it, if you're already here, if you fucking leave me. I know who all of you are. I found it. There's only 12 viewers. I ran background checks. I know where you fucking live, okay? I will fly there. I will come tomorrow and find you if you unsubscribe. Everybody that unsubscribes, I know where they are, okay? I find them very quickly. I hunt them down, and I nicely say, please subscribe again. Nobody likes me. I want to kill myself. And they say, bummer. And I say, shut up. Click the button. Well, if you did get this far and you're not subscribed, I don't know what kind of person you are or what you're interested in, but I'm ending the podcast. The podcast is now over. I love you so much. Thank you for listening. But listen, the podcast is over, okay? And even if I'm still talking, that doesn't mean the podcast is not. The podcast is done. There is no more podcasting that is happening right now. It is purely me telling you, so you got to stop listening. Stop it. Do not keep listening. There's no more podcast. Just remember the topic. No, I'm done. Thank you so much. I love you.